he kind of deepened his Southern roots, and Deerfield Beach, Michigan would love to get another Deerfield Beach kid. I mean, the last one was Denard Robinson, right? And
Oh man,
I,
yeah.
I I know and love Deerfield Beach just because it's my family had a condo right by there when I was growing up. And the best lobster bisque anywhere is in Deerfield Beach at the Whales Rib. I digress, but I do think that that's part of it.
There he is.
I do think it's part of that is being able to for Partridge to be there now. That is one of the things that I think has been missing in Michigan recruiting is being able to get more high level linebackers. Now they get one every now and again, right? They got Junior Colson, but even Devin Bush wasn't like a high end considered to be like a 5-star guy. I know that was how Michigan fans treated it, especially considering he seemed like he would be a Florida State lock due to his father and everything. But I mean, he was like a 4-star on most sites, a 3-star on one, but he was like more of like in the 300s, and then he played like a 5-star, right? They haven't really been able to go out there and get those super high end linebackers, and that's I think the one thing that's been missing from the recruiting aspect for Michigan is they haven't really been able to go out there and find the super high end guys. So to get the head to head win over Ohio State certainly would also be really good to get a high end linebacker out of Florida, so long as it works out. Anthony Solomon was one of those. It didn't work out. Didn't really ever see the field. We're still waiting on Jaden Hood, but absolutely part of what Partridge, I would imagine, after having been in the SEC, further building those relationships with the Southern high schools, and then also just recognizing probably what it takes to be able to beat the Georgias of the world. Not that he did it at Ole Miss, but being able to contend with Georgia, Alabama, LSU, it's going to take strong linebacker play, right? Because if you can get to the college football playoff, you're going to run into one of those. And at this point, especially next year, it's going to be even more likely with the expanded playoff. So you're seeing him at least saying we need more bodies. And that's evident with Cole Sullivan, Zach Ludwig, who, was as a family friend of Ben Herbert. It sounds like they're going to bring in about 5 linebackers this class. So they just are going to continue to do that and find guys that they feel like they can at least mold into that, to that high-end linebacker / edge rusher. But I think it's that precursor. You usually see that when a school brings in like 5 guys at a particular position group, that first they go for the quantity and then they start to go for the quality. So hopefully that's what Chris Partridge is doing right now.
Anytime we have a conversation like we just did with the passing game, I always go to the numbers because I want to quantify and verify what we talked about. So this is what I came up with last season. No big surprise, Mississippi State led the nation in pass attempts per game. The team that threw the most passes in the Big Ten per game, no big surprise, Purdue at number 7 in the country. Georgia at 55, Penn State at 58, Ohio State at 68. A lot of people would be surprised that they only throw the 68th most in the country. But out of 133 teams in FBS play, Michigan threw it 114th in most pass attempts per game.
Yeah, not surprising that number's got to go way up. I'm not saying it has to be even in the upper third, but it should be up in the top half and you can still run the football. You can still be a run first team. You just gotta you find other ways to get those running backs involved. And I think the good news for Michigan is they have a guy like Donovan Edwards who can do that, can get things involved in the pass game as from the running back position. And that keeps everybody a little bit happier, right? Because your guy's still getting touches, the quarterback's getting to throw, you're still moving the football. So I think that's incumbent upon Michigan to find a way to, and it sounds like they are, right? Like Sharon Moore was very mum when we talked to him last and was like, I'm not going to tell you that. And that's usually a way of saying, yes, we're working on something, but we're not going to tell you. That would be the kind of crucible to being able to really push things forward in the pass game and to move things forward. Because like I said earlier, even though Georgia is run first, they can certainly throw the football, right? The teams that can throw the football and do throw the football are the ones that are going to win national championships.
And again, just to underline, Ohio State 68th in the nation in pass attempts per game. Most people would have guessed much, much higher in the pass attempts per game, but they're also top 3 in the nation in pass efficiency and explosiveness.
Mm.
So the effectiveness of the passing game, yeah, to your point, Michigan probably does need to throw it more. But then again, I'm talking about the team that went 13-1 and won the Big Ten championship the last 2 years. But yeah, to reach that next level, throw it and throw it more effectively. But they don't have to go crazy. Yes, they can still be run first. But all those elite teams, those other elite teams, were only top 70 in the country in pass attempts. But that's still a good leap, 40, 50 spots ahead of Michigan.
Well, the key part of it is it's the same thing as JJ's ability to run the football. It did for them, at least early on in the schedule, is it keeps teams honest. And honestly, it allows you to run the football more, right? Like that's why when you see, like, it's not like Ohio State, even under when it was Dwayne Haskins throwing the football and they were, he threw for 5,000 yards. It wasn't like Ohio State couldn't run the football. Ohio State was very good at running the football. It opens up more opportunities to do exactly that when you're able to pass more. And when you have not only the 2 backs that Michigan has, you have a quarterback in JJ who can run the football with his legs as well. Then if you're passing, it opens it up even more to be able to run, because now teams don't really know what you're going to do on any given play, and they don't know who's going to get the ball, and they have really no way of defending it, especially if you're including a lot of RPOs in there, because then suddenly they if they sit there and say, we're going to do everything we can to stop this, kind of like Ohio State did to stop the run against Michigan, then you can pass over their heads. And Michigan's cognizant of that. They're fully aware. But I just think it needs to be something that they do more often, instead of just being like, okay, I think last year they did get into this, we know that Blake Corum could win a Heisman type mode. And I think that was what they tried to do. And certainly if he didn't get injured, it very well could have worked. But I think that they need to highlight some other players as well, because I think Blake Corum's shown what he can do. And I think that it's time to show what JJ McCarthy can do.
And on the defensive side of the ball too, obviously we know that that Minner has proven himself as in his own right, taking kind of the bones of what Mike McDonald did in 2021 and expanding on that. And I would argue creating more of a systematic approach. Whereas, I think in 2021, he had to McDonald had to patch over some stuff and kind of put the emphasis on Hutch and Ojabo. And then in 2022, it definitely felt more of like a systematic approach. And you saw Michael Barrett contributing and Junior Colson contributing to the stat line quite a bit. Cole Sullivan is somebody who obviously Michigan picked up. And our buddy Antoine always talks about, don't listen to the stars, watch the film. And so I went on Huddle and I looked at some film of Cole Sullivan, and this guy looks like a real impact player and somebody who's probably underranked as a 3-star.